Good morning.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Okay. Before everybody else gets here, I pinged Eldon yesterday telling him that you and I had talked, kind of seeing if he could get something out of him. And he said he was consulting with city staff and would get back to me as soon as he could.
Yeah. I talked to him on Friday, and that's basically the same message he had. He's not sure where they're coming up with some of these charges from, and was really concerned because he hadn't seen those anywhere else. So I go, yep.
They should be concerned. That's a borderline taking, I think.
I think so too. So the goal for this morning is to what?
My sense is to agree on a draft of this interlocal agreement that we can clean up and have for the steering committee on September 18th. Good morning, Kitty.
So I have, let's see, I have the notice of the meeting.
In the invite, there should be 3 attached documents.
Okay. Let me go to that. I've got one attached document. I got the notice of the meeting.
Okay, I think I can send this to you real quickly.
Okay.
Okay, on the way.
Okay. Must be getting hung up on the sidewalk.
Taking the long way around the moon and back.
Yeah. There it is. I got it.
Okay. Morning, Kitty.
Am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute. Hello.
I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my little stand for my iPad here. Our City of Spokane equipment doesn't do Zoom well.
No.
So refresh my memory, Scott, is the goal of this revised interlocal to add the Spokane tribe and Kalispell tribe into the mix for the steering committee?
Yes, that's the primary goal. Yep.
Okay. I see you have some other language cleanup here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We took out some things that kind of related only to the creation of this.
Yeah.
They're way out past their prime.
Yep. Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Yep. And we're suggesting that if, for example, amending the CPPs could be a simple majority of the voting membership instead of 2/3. It's the steering committee's been around long enough now. I don't think it needs a 2/3 vote just to make these amendments, but that's entirely up to you and the group.
Yeah. Well, the 2/3 keeps us honest, that's for sure. Makes it so there's no manipulation and hanky panky.
No, that's
So
fine.
Kitty, you're listed twice on my screen. Are you signing in as two people or one?
Should be just me. My assistant may have signed in. But
Oh, okay, that might be it. Yeah.
I can check with her.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, with you and your assistant, and it's listed as Kitty Klitsky, I guess I can count you as two for quorum. No. So is there anybody, I mean, who else is supposed to be joining us this morning, Scott, or is it just Kitty and me?
I was anticipating Heather.
Okay,
Oh, I think there, and let's see, on the attendee list is Airway Heights Planning, so that probably is Heather, Greg Fig, Megan Heller, and Spokane Tribe. I'm going to see if I can promote the tribal representatives to
Okay.
participate.
okay.
Not sure. Oh, that one worked.
There we go.
So
Megan,
we got
can you
Megan
hear us?
Heller.
Oh,
And James, are
I
you
can
there?
hear you. Sorry.
Good morning. Yes, I'm here. I
Okay.
apologize. My webcam is currently out of commission right now, so I'll just be on audio.
No worries. Glad you could join us.
Thank you for the invite.
So does that mean you're always going to be right today? James?
We'll see, I guess.
Okay,
Well,
well, it's, go ahead, Scott.
Commissioner French, I'm not sure how much longer you want to wait. We're 7 minutes into our time, and I don't know.
I'm gonna go.
One confession on our part: Ella is not here right now, so I don't know if there have been some comments sent to her in the last couple of days. But we'll check
Okay.
that. So far,
Well, let's go ahead.
this draft? Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get the meeting started and stuff, because I know that we scheduled it early in the day because a lot of people have got a lot of items on their agenda today. So I'm going to go ahead and call the, I guess, task force meeting to order for updating the interlocal agreement. And for the record, we have Kitty Klitsky representing the city of Spokane. We have James Best representing Spokane Tribe, and Megan Heller. Help me, Megan, to understand, who are you here on behalf of?
I'm representing the Kalispel tribe, and I'm the
Oh,
planning
okay.
manager for the Kalispel tribe, as well as a Kalispel tribal member.
Oh, okay, great. Well, welcome. So hopefully you all have a copy of the document in front of you. This is an update of the interlocal agreement, and the edits have been provided by Mr. Scott Chesney to basically update the interlocal agreement to add both the Spokane tribe and the Kalispel tribe to the steering committee of elected officials. And so, Scott, why don't you go ahead and give us a brief update of this? And there's
Okay.
so I'll just turn it over to you, Scott, and you can take us through
Okay.
this.
And Megan, I believe you were contributing to some of this as well, weren't you? Can you see my screen?
I can now, yes.
Okay.
I haven't contributed to it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've
misunderstood.
just read the document.
Got it.
Yeah.
And Heather Troutman, who, again, let me see, I think she was with us, but hang on one second. Airway, there she is. bring her in as well. What you've got on your screen now is the draft document, some of the the easy changes on top, and then adding some sections from the RCW to give this rooted foundation in the GMA and the plans on the first page. And then moving down into the establishment, it's adding one elected official from the Spokane tribe, one elected official from the Kalispell tribe as voting members, who will be selected by their representative groups as they see fit. There was some talk, or perhaps a request from, I think it came from Ned Wendell from the schools, of wanting to have the other non-voting members turned into voting members. I have not been aware that that discussion has progressed to any degree, so that's not in this draft. I think the sense of urgency is given the legislature's directive. It was try to invite and accept the tribe membership into this as quickly as we can, and we can make other changes to non-voting members later. And then, as we were talking about briefly, we've cleaned up some language that dates to the creation of the ILA that's really no longer relevant, just striking a few things, not a big sanitation. And there was also one suggestion in here in section 4 to move to a simple majority vote to pass an amendment or to change an amendment rather than a 2/3. I certainly leave that up to all of you to decide if you would keep the 2/3 benchmark or go to a simple majority. And in a nutshell, there's a suggestion here of compensating the tribes for participating in planning sessions. I don't know that that's a thing, so to speak. We will be checking, and I just saw this part a little bit more recently. Oh, hang on, Heather's here. Let me bring her in. Sorry, I'm new at driving this stuff, so let's see if she can.
You're doing
Heather,
great,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're doing a great job of driving. I feel safe with you anywhere. Just to answer that question, that is, I believe, part of the provisions that have been worked out with the governor's office with Department of Commerce for tribal participation, is that the tribes are eligible under a grant for compensation for participation in activities such as this. And we can certainly confirm that with Bridget Ray, which is the Department of Commerce tribal liaison, who we've been working with on this invitation for tribal participation.
Okay,
so that would be the origin of that. And then I had a question. Did you receive comments from our Department of Commerce representative Melissa as well as Bridget on this draft?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
At least it doesn't appear to be anything in here attributable.
I would recommend that, since they have technical expertise and can provide us assistance with complying with the legislation, as well as they're coordinating with both tribal entities. And thank you very much, Megan and James, for joining us today for this conversation. I very much appreciate you being here.
Okay. Heather, I'd be happy to do that if you could maybe help me make that happen.
Absolutely. We'll send that over to them to have that review. And I believe that they had some preliminary comments and thoughts about it related to the guidance from Commerce on tribal participation. And there was a template that had been put out with regards to agreements with tribes. So I'm sure there's some specific recommendations they can assist us with on this agreement.
Okay. Well, then, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask Megan and James, did I represent that information accurately?
I think so.
Yeah, that works for me as well. Similar to Megan, I've only reviewed this document. Anything else I'm excited to assist with.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So, this is Al French. So I'm looking at section 6, and it talks about the grant funds received from Washington State Department of Commerce, Trade and Economic Development, or its successor with growth management responsibilities, received by who? Is the assumption here that those grant funds are going to be received by the county or by the tribes directly, or because the steering committee, I mean, it's a committee, but it doesn't have any other fiduciary responsibility. So I'm just wondering, who is the recipient of the funds? Shouldn't it go just directly to the tribes?
That's my understanding, but we can certainly confirm that, Commissioner French.
That certainly makes sense. The county doesn't need to be an intermediary.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
But we'll
well,
follow up with Bridget Ray.
well, and the other part of this is, the second part of that paragraph, factors included in such a reevaluation shall include per capita allocation based on annual Office of Financial Management's estimate of population and the projected need for multi-jurisdictional programs. We might want to get some greater clarity about what they mean. I mean, is that referring to, tribal lands, or is that referring to trust lands, or I'm not sure. And I just want to make sure that if we get this, we capture it the way it's supposed to. So we can accommodate whatever grant comes through.
That's a very good
Assuming
point.
it goes through the county, and I'd rather have the grants go directly to the tribes. That way there's no intermediary in the middle of it. So, but, I yield to the wisdom of the group.
Well, I think with Heather's assistance, we can clarify with Commerce what the intent of this current round of grant funding is, and perhaps refine this paragraph to better reflect that, and maybe not so much the rest of this. It seems like it's a little out of date, and I mean, those of you that have been here longer can tell me. I don't know if there's ever been any funding provided to the steering committee directly for any program.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, not that I know of, but there is funding specifically this time for tribal participation
Right.
in management activities. And so I imagine that could include, or my understanding is it includes their participation in the steering committee, as well as if they choose to do joint planning with Spokane County, which I think we're beginning to thread together the two elements of the legislation, which is the council of governments and eventually the offer to the tribes to do GMA planning, which we'll need to talk about as well, and the tribes will need to consider. That's been part of the briefing with both tribes, with Bridget Ray on growth management moving up to this point.
Okay.
So Heather, you will work with the tribes and Commerce to try and get clarity around that paragraph. Are there any other parts of this agreement that people want to talk about or discuss before taking it to the bigger committee? Now would be the time to interject. If you have any concerns or compliments or kudos or whatever you'd like.
Megan and James, did you have any thoughts as you've read through this agreement above and beyond the funding and the representation?
No, I guess my only concern would have been the same as Commissioner French's, just having a little bit more clarification on the funding allocation and how that looks exactly from Commerce. But outside of that, I think we were comfortable with how this agreement looks.
Okay.
Megan, how about you?
At this time I don't. I know tomorrow I have a meeting with some of our tribal leadership to kind of go over it more thoroughly, but that's tomorrow, so.
Okay. So do we need to schedule then, Scott, maybe one more meeting, could be a brief meeting where we garner whatever kind of wisdom that Heather can get out of commerce so that we can close that chapter and then be in a position to where we can carry this back to the larger steering committee?
That certainly seems prudent. If this early morning session works, we can try to set one up far enough out for us to work with Commerce, but also at least a few days ahead of the September 18th steering committee.
So Heather, how much time do you want to have to try and coordinate with Commerce? Because I know that sometimes they can be a challenge to get a hold of.
Our representatives are excellent. The usual is whether or not they're assisting other communities or tribal entities. So I would say I would recommend at least a week to send the document over and hopefully receive some clarification, edits, and responses.
So how would people feel if we were to schedule something for the early part of the week of the 10th, the 9th of September? That gives us a couple weeks, but one of those weeks is going to be Labor Day, so it'll be a short week. And so if we could have a meeting early in that week of the 9th, we could address whatever last minute changes and then send it off to the committee.
That works for me.
Anybody? How about you, Heather? Does that work for you?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Okay.
Any particular day, Commissioner, 10th, 11th?
Just early in the morning, so it doesn't matter to me.
Okay,
We could do the 10th at 7:30. Is that meet everybody's time frame?
That works good for me.
Me as well.
Okay.
okay. We
All
will
right,
set that.
10th
we
at
will set that
7:30 in
up.
the morning. Yep, it'll be a Zoom meeting, so we will not serve breakfast. No, is there any other business that we need to talk about, Scott, or is this it?
Nope, I think we've heard your direction, and we will get busy, and we'll have something to you hopefully the end of maybe the week before, by that Friday. So there's a couple days to review it, and then we'll reconvene on Tuesday the 10th at 7:30.
Great. Well, thanks, everybody, and have a terrific day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Heather, goodbye.